Yo, what's up? Greetings, everybody. This is Mike, aka Mr. Legit Hustle. Y'all know me, your homie, your brother from another mother. First and foremost, thank you for checking me out, for being here rocking with me. Could have been anywhere else on the internet, on YouTube, but you're here watching my content, so I just want to thank you. I also want to ask you something. Do you have a dream or goal that you feel driven to pursue? Or maybe you're like me and you're already deep in the pursuit of your dream or whatever that goal is, and you like a little motivation and direction in overcoming the challenges that you face. You know, sometimes we doubt ourselves. Sometimes we get afraid of failing. Or maybe you just need some inspiration from time to time. Well, I want to encourage you to never allow yourself to fall victim to discouragement. When you choose to pursue a goal or a dream in your life, know that you're gonna get met with opposition and challenges. It just comes with the territory. But there's too much at stake for you to quit. And if you're like me, then you've come too far and through too much to ever give up on that dream or that goal. So, I want to invite you to grab one or two or all of my legit motivation presentations. You can watch the videos on my Legit Motivation podcast on my YouTube channel. And if you see one that you like, you can download the actual slide presentation that I developed and used in that video. That way, you can review the information in depth at your own pace. Now, each slide presentation is packed with factual, reputable, and verifiable information from reliable sources, as well as the game I've learned in 46 years on this realm. So head over to my Legit Motivation podcast on YouTube or go to 𝐬𝐿GH&x. Presentations are free, but if you'd like to support the channel, then you can donate there as well. Whether you do or don't, the presentations are yours to keep. Plus, you'll get a special bonus offer on all of my products and services when you download your first presentation. So head over to 𝐬𝐿GH&x or look for the link in the comment section of the video that you like. Alright? Again, thank you for rocking with me. Enjoy the rest of the show. Peace.
Why are you so antisocial? Because I'm trying to get it. Why are you staying on the basketball court so much? Because I'm trying to get it. Why are you out there practicing in the hot sun when ain't nobody else out there? Because I'm trying to get it.
Storm.
Hey yo, you ever had to punch a clock up at sunrise, getting to it, keep the kitchen stocked? Like Dr. King had a dream, yeah, you got one too. And that's what you gotta do to stay off the block. Cause you ain't got to fucking know to be standing in the cold, looking up and down the streets, running from the cops. You got another little baby on the way any day, ducking strays ain't the play, cause you got ops. Plus when you sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you can't even sleep, cause you hardwired to run your numbers up. Feels like bad luck. Be on your heels 24/7 trying to keep you stuck. Quitting just ain't an option, cause them little babies watching, and you can't stand to let them see they daddy in the dirt. So for better or for worse, or the day you see a hearse, whichever come first, it ain't no question, you gon' make it work. Yeah, a different tale, same hustle. Clench your fist if you will, pushing back against the struggle. It's game time. Going back's not an option, so you take it and you talk it till you popping like a buck. Stay on your grind. To all the soldiers in the field and my sisters, staying trill, stay away from them pills. Keep a bag on your mind, so never mind what they saying. You hustling, they playing. You gotta go get yours. I'm out here getting mine. Only in your early 20s and 2 times a mama. Still a lady, raising babies, staying out the drama. But every time you turn around, there's some hoes talking down. You say moving presidential like away from them pigs. Keep a bag on your mind. So never mind what they saying. You hustling, they playing. You gotta go get yours. I'm out here getting mine. Different tale, same hustle, set your fist. If you with it, pushing back against the struggle. Game time. And going back is not an option. So you take it and you talk it till you pop it like a buck. Stay on your grind. To all the souls in the field and my sisters staying real. Stay away from them pigs. Keep a bag on your mind. Never mind what they saying. You hustling, they playing. You gotta go get yours. I'm out here getting mine.
Legit hustle. Legit hustle. Go get him, Uncle Mike.
Yeah, it's like take number 4 or some shit like
Go get him, Uncle
that.
Mike.
Man, I'm just finna spit this shit. Try to keep in mind where I'm supposed to stop. It's gonna come out how it come out, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Ever move at your pace, you change your time, space, and place. Disappear without a trace, reappear to show your face. Only time to time, cause the bottom line, you only got the time to make. Foot on the gas, don't touch the brake. Fuck if I crash, fate is fate. Most times blessings, that's your grace. Lots at stake, watch for mistakes. Treat obstacles like they steak. Heavyweight, then clean your plate. Even if you ate already, grown man shit gets heavy. War in the streets is really up, so lock and load and aim steady. You a hustler, time to prove it. You a gangster, who you move with. Better keep an extra toolkit. Pray to God to never use it. Just a clue for all the clues. Playing dumb, but don't be stupid. Like Steph Curry off the dribble. I don't even gotta look when I shoot it. This a warning for the busters and an anthem for the hustlers. Next time you fold your bundles, just remember, hustle told you. Keep your drip right, yeah, that's Nova. Keep your coat as cold, that's polar. Put that hustle over your shoulder. Carry that bitch till it's over. Yeah. It's legit hustle, man. You know what I'm saying? For the hustlers only. If you out here grinding, pushing, getting it on your own, trying to build something for yourself and your family, I'm talking to you. Yeah. So what you took an L? Everybody fall down sometimes, man. Get up, shake that shit off. Keep it pushing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. If he gave up, it wasn't me, not in a hustler's pedigree. I knew the path that I had chosen wasn't free, nor should it be. A real leader's gonna stand up, give his friends a helping hand up. If he get one, then he got one. From the Lambo to the Phantom, only if it's just legit. All 366, he only swing for the fence. Legit hustlers never miss. Belt the ass, I got a list. Rub me wrong, you get your itch. Pop out, I hope you got a wish. Like the genie in this bitch. Hustlers and suck, never mix. Real is real, so don't forget. That is that and this is this. On the real hustle shit that we kick, you dig? You dig? Yeah. That is that and this is this. On the real hustle shit that we kick, you dig? Yeah, like I said, man, this is legit hustle. Tales of a Hustler 3. You know what I'm saying? For the hustlers, man. The go-getters. You know, people out there getting it on their own. Yeah. If that's you, welcome. Tales of a Hustler 3. Here's your homie, Legit Hustle. Yeah, man. Speaking for the hustlers, man. No matter where you came from, we be from the streets, Ivy League. You get stock broken down, man. You a regular dude, man, selling food on the corner. I don't care, man. If you a hustler, you know you a hustler. It's in you, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, YouTube land. What is going on out there, everybody? It is he is I, your homie, your brother from another mother, one and only, Mr. Legit Hustle. And we back, y'all. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day, beautiful weekend, beautiful Saturday, beautiful Shabbat, whatever you refer to it as. Hope it's going awesome for you, man. Welcome to another episode of Legit Motivation here on Legit Hustle. So what are we going to be talking about today? Excuse me, y'all. Today we're going to talk about starting before you're ready. What does that mean, and why would you ever want to do that? Why would you want to start before you're ready? Growth requires movement, right? And just like growth, movement oftentimes is uncomfortable. Progress is movement, another type of growth. But by default, it causes us to have to deal with periods of imbalance just in order to progress, right? Y'all excuse me. My nose is running a little bit. I don't know I don't know if you know how the weather is down here in Georgia, but it can feel like spring one day and feel like you're in Alaska by that night, and it be playing tricks with the sinuses and stuff, man. So if you hear me snorting over here a little bit, I ain't partaking in no extracurricular activities. I'm probably just trying to keep the snot from dribbling down my face, even though y'all can't see me on YouTube, but I am recording this on the backside, and I don't really want to have snot dribbling down my face on the presentation. That's probably not a good look for the channel or for myself, really, So I'm trying to avoid that. So if you hear me do that a couple times, I apologize. I got a lapel mic on. I know it's going to pick up that atrocious noise. So if I have to do that a couple times, y'all, please forgive me. But it's just this weather, and my sinus is playing a little immature ass game. But anyway, man, let's get into it. So we're talking about progress, growth, forward motion, movement, and why these things can tend to be uncomfortable for us. You see, when we're standing still, that feels very safe, right? But progress feels unstable. Now, if we wait for the perfect moment, if we just stand there and wait till everything is perfect, till we feel like we won't have to worry about losing our balance or having any struggles with the environment or walking, if we just wait, we'll never actually go anywhere. We'll just be stagnant. We'll just be standing there, right? So sometimes our own thoughts, our own fears, our own insecurities will play tricks on us. If you've seen the presentation that I did on self-talk, this is related in that way, because there are times when we'll tell ourselves that standing still is being responsible, that we're being practical, that it's being strategic, that we're perhaps being careful. But in actuality, what we're doing is maybe waiting until we think it's the perfect time to do something, right? But ironically, stability can't come before instability, because we must take the movement. We must take the step before we can learn to be stable in doing so. Stability itself is built upon movement. And so every step forward requires that we kind of rearrange our perception of balance so that we don't become imbalanced. But in that willingness to take the risk of being off balance, that is what actually causes us to move forward. That is what a step is, right? When you're standing still, you're on 2 feet, that's stability. You feel planted, you feel secure, you feel grounded, you feel in control. Nothing is at risk, right? It's kind of hard to fall and hurt yourself when you're standing still on both feet. But as I said earlier, in that condition, nothing is moving forward either, though, right? In order to move forward, you have to actually step out there and balance yourself on just 1 foot. That is what is called motion. And the moment that you lift that foot to step forward, then you enter into a state of temporary imbalance. And that feels vulnerable. It feels uncertain. But that is exactly what progress is and what progress requires of us. All right. So if you feel uncomfortable during times like that, if you have something big planned or a project or idea or goal, and you feel so uncomfortable about taking that initial step to actually get it done, that's not a sign that you're doing something wrong, and it's not a sign of failure. That's actually totally normal. That discomfort is evidence that you're doing something new, not necessarily dangerous, not necessarily something that you're guaranteed to fail at. It's just new, right? So there are several different factors that plays into the discomfort that we feel when we're required to make forward progress in something, to take a step forward, to keep momentum moving forward. But that's totally normal. So we have to remember that progress always includes moments of imbalance. Think about a child, be it walking or riding a bicycle. If as children, we never took the risk of falling down, when we had ever gotten up to actually take the steps, the very first steps that we had to take in order for us to ever begin walking on our own, right? Or maybe it was riding a bicycle. You had to get over the fear of falling off of the bicycle in order to actually learn how to ride the bicycle, how to keep your balance on the bicycle, how to keep your balance on your feet. What's the difference between us and a baby doing it? Is the baby braver than us? Is the baby stronger than us? Is the child on the bicycle for the first time braver than you and I? No. What happens is life teaches us through the consequences that we face from failure. Falling off of a bicycle, skinning your knee, is different from losing your job, filing bankruptcy, and losing your home. That's a very different negative consequence, right? So as we get older, the consequences become a little bit more severe, a little more impactful on our lives if we fail. But that initial fear is totally normal, because now as adults, we have more at stake when we seek to do things, when we set goals for ourselves, when we start businesses. There's more at stake at this point in our life. Right? So that fear, that hesitation, that's totally normal. It's not a failure. It's actually a sign that you're prepared to take a step. What you must now do is steady yourself and prepare to be able to keep your balance during that moment when you're naturally going to be or feel off balance, right? So balance is the real skill when it comes to progress, when it comes to growth, when it comes to moving forward, to progressing in life. To start before you're ready is not reckless. And I'm not talking about just rushing into doing something, not putting thought into it, or not putting proper preparation into something before you actually take action. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about understanding that balance is something that you learn while you're doing it, not something that you perfect before you do something. If balance is the skill that's needed in order to walk, to move forward, to progress, if balance is the skill that you need, it's not a skill that you can learn. It's not a skill that you can get better at by planning to do it. It's something that you have to actually be doing in order to get better at it while you're doing it, like learning to walk or riding a bicycle again, right? So we're going to look at 3 areas of our lives where we really have to focus on being balanced when we really want to make progress in our lives, when we have things that we really want to accomplish, different goals, be it in business, be it in our personal life, in any aspect of life. Whenever we need to take steps forward, I'm going to talk about 3 specific areas that we need to pay attention to our balance in. That's being balanced in our thoughts, being balanced in our emotion, and being balanced in our actions. Now, being balanced in thought means that you have to do a couple things. One, you need to accept that you have limitations. You're not going to nail it the first time every time you do something. That concept of perfection, of being able to do something perfectly every time, is a myth. It's not reality. So let go of that and realize that you have limitations. This whole perfection, not only is it not possible, it's not even worth trying to achieve because it's impossible. So remove that strain off of you. And remember that progress begins when pressure decreases. If you're a car guy, for anybody that sees this as a car guy or gal, there's a metric in car power that we know as torque, right? And for those of you all who like cars like I do, you know that torque is the amount of force that's actually put down on the pavement to actually cause the car to move forward. In order for torque to even work, a pressure has to decrease. That pressure for car guys and gals is what we know as resistance. That's what the torque has to overcome against that pavement. That resistance is the pressure. Hence the need for torque to overcome the resistance in order to actually make the car move forward. That is the same role that, that's the same process when progress is the goal. When forward momentum, when forward progress is the goal, it begins when there's a decrease in the pressure and the resistance that the progress is facing, right? And a lot of that resistance, whether we're aware of it or not, is internal. It comes from inside. It comes from our thoughts about ourselves, our belief in what we're doing, or our belief in our ability to do something or be someone, right? So we have to overcome that pressure that starts with our thoughts. Balancing emotion. Cultivating inner stability doesn't depend on external circumstances. Being emotionally balanced inside creates consistency, clarity, and resilience. If you've watched any of my other presentations here on Legit Hustle, you know we've talked about consistency. We've talked about resilience in various other presentations. Those are key ingredients to what I call the hustler's ingredients, the hustler's DNA. It's the ability to show resilience. Things don't come easy. Can you keep it going? Can you get started? Can you keep it going? Can you be consistent in it? The ability to perform consistently, the ability to be able to bring that to the table and whatever we're doing starts on the inside. So we have to be balanced in our thoughts, but we also have to be balanced in our emotions. Showing control and being able to exercise control over our inner world is necessary before we can exercise control in our outer world, right? So we have to be balanced in our emotions as well. We also have to be balanced in our actions and our habits. Now, in this particular presentation, I'm not so much talking about our personal habits or even like spending habits. I'm speaking more about in terms of the actions and habits that are necessary in order to progress us forward in our businesses, to progress us forward in our progressions. You can apply these principles and these things to personal life, right? And maybe family situations or personal development. But I'm specifically talking to hustlers. Y'all know this Legit Hustle, man. I'm talking to the hustlers, the entrepreneurs, the self-employed people, the people who get it on their own out here. That's what I'm talking to, right? So those are the type of actions and habits that I'm primarily addressing in this presentation, okay? Let's keep moving. So balance in thought, release excess pressure. Now, perfectionism is something that I know intimately about because I have suffered from perfectionism a lot in my life. I used to be so bad about it when I was a child, when I had to write papers, like in school, and I'm talking about even in like elementary school, right? If I had to write like a paragraph or something for homework or on a class assignment, if I got done and looked at the paper and all the letters were not leaning the exact same amount, and the cursive didn't look exactly the same, or the print, if it didn't look perfect the way I thought my handwriting was supposed to look, I would throw it away and start all over again. And that carried over into my life, on into adulthood, when it came to doing things that I found myself procrastinating, even though I thought I was planning and planning and planning, but in actuality, I was procrastinating because I was standing there waiting for everything to be just right to do something. And it never was just right to do it. So I had to learn how to take action, how to take that first step, despite everything not being just so, despite everything not being exactly the way we may want it to be, or the way we may have envisioned it being when we got to a certain place in our life. So in order to do that, we have to stop demanding future level performance today. When we think about the person that we want to become, when we think about the thing that our business should become or should be, it's not that it's not capable of that, but we're looking off into the future. I'm looking off into the future when we envision that. We have those little daydreaming moments and we picture how we want everything to run and everything to actually, go and work in our companies. But that's a future thing, right? It's not logical, it's not practical to expect that type of performance today. What we're envisioning and looking at when we're planning our companies and having our ideas and brainstorming, those are future things. What we do today will determine how we get to those future things, of course. But it's not right to compare a future performance or a future capability to what we have today, where we're starting at right now. And that's the trap of perfectionism. Perfectionism is a lie, right? We have to remember that most times when we're taking on new ventures, when we're doing things, taking a first step, it's exactly that. It's something new. We have to give ourselves time to learn the new thing, to learn what's required to do the new thing. And in that, learning how to keep our balance while doing the new thing, right? So the idea that everything is going to be just so and going to be just perfect is a fallacy. It's a lie that we have to avoid telling ourselves. If we find ourselves caught in that perfectionist trap, this is what happens. Now, being a perfectionist feels like you're being responsible, like you're being careful, right? It feels like you're being so detailed. You're thinking about all the possible scenarios. Before you actually start the business, you sat down, thought about everything that could possibly go wrong to prevent you from starting the business. And you've been thinking about those things for so long, as opposed to starting a business, that even though it feels so certain and so secure and so safe, in actuality, you haven't done anything other than think about starting a business. That's the trap of perfectionism. Even when it comes to our personal goals in life, whatever the objective may be, financial goals, relationship goals, right? Sometimes we try to work to make something so perfect, to make it so right, to make it so, to fit some fictitious image in our mind that we think is perfect, that we end up sabotaging our efforts and not actually getting it done because we spent so much time trying to perfect it in our head, like that was going to make it a reality. When the reality is based upon the actions that we take and what we actually do. That's the perfectionism trap. Endless preparation cycles, endless reviewing budgets, endless reviewing plans, endlessly revising plans, going back over startup things you might need as far as equipment and furniture and staffing and all these other things that get in the way We're trying to plan so perfectly as opposed to just actually getting out there and doing it, getting started, right? We're trying to build that future vision that we have of the company, of our business, of our life. We're trying to build it right now today. And we all know the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so whatever that venture is that you're undertaking, whatever that goal is that you're undertaking, reality means accepting that you're not going to build it in a day, and it's not going to start off perfect. It's not going to be just so. And so you should not expect it to be in order for you to get started doing something, in order for you to take another step doing something after you started doing something, and to continue taking those steps. All right? But when you're caught in that perfectionist trap, none of that can happen. That growth can't happen. That progress can't happen. Because you're actually stuck in the state of paralysis. You're just standing there planning and hoping and wishing for everything to be right. And then it isn't, because we didn't do anything. We're just planning to. So by learning to balance our thinking, we can avoid that perfectionist trap, right? Instead of asking ourselves or going over things to the point trying to make it just perfect, ask yourself, is it good enough to begin? Right? Expect to learn and get better at it by doing it. In developing, anybody that's familiar with web development out there, when it comes to developing applications, software, and things like that, this reminds me of a couple phrases and phases in that industry. One of the things is when you're coming up with a software, an application, a platform, you're not trying to hit the home run the very first time. In my industry, we refer to it as a MVP, a minimal viable product. A minimal viable product. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's what's the most bare basic version of this thing that I'm building that I can put together that would be worth me putting out there and having someone to use it, possibly for free, possibly for a fee, a subscription, whatever the business model may be for that particular platform. But you're looking for the minimal viable product. You're not trying to build Facebook the first time, right? Think about the platforms that we use. The version of our platforms that we use nowadays, whether you still use Facebook or Instagram, or if you use any of them at all, just think about how far they have come from when they first hit the scene. The features and the way they function now. They didn't start off that way. They became that way because of the second principle, learning through doing. In tech and web development, that's called growth through iteration, where you're growing not necessarily dimensionally, you're not necessarily growing in size, but you're growing through iteration, you're growing through versions of it. So you'll have a software, an app that comes out, and this is version 1. A couple months later, they come out with some more updates. Now it's version 1.2. Then a little while later, you get some more updates. It's version 1.35 or whatever, however they number the updates. That's what that is. That's growth through iteration, right? So even if you're not necessarily involved in tech like myself, and you don't do those types of things in your business, it still applies to when it comes to avoiding the perfectionist trap. It doesn't have to be just right. It just has to be good enough to begin. It just has to be good enough to get started. It just has to be a minimal viable product, an MVP. Then you have to accept that you're going to learn more and get better at it through doing. You have to grow through iterations, through versions of yourself, as it were. just like we do in web development when it comes to developing software, or platform, or app or something. You value momentum over perfection when you're balanced. Because the most important thing when you're trying to accomplish something, when you're trying to progress forward toward a goal and objective, the most important thing is not how perfect the step looks. It's not how perfect the shot looks. The most momentum thing is how it performs consistently. You can have the ugliest jump shot in the world, but if you're making 80% of your field goals with that ugly jump shot, don't nobody care, right? You can have the ugliest form when it comes to kicking a field goal, but if you're kicking 70-yard field goals consistently, I don't think nobody cares, right? So more important than how something looks, how perfect it looks, or how perfect it seems to be, more important than that is how it performs, especially consistently. In order to maintain the momentum, in order to keep moving forward, and in order to keep the progress going, it's more important how it actually performs. And that means that we must value the momentum over perfection. We must value the function, the fact that it's working, that it's performing, that we're moving, that we're maintaining progress, value that over how good we look doing it, how perfect it looks. Oh, my business looks so successful. Everything seems like it should be A, B, or C. Oh, my life looks, nope, we value the momentum, the function, especially when it's performing like it's supposed to, when things are moving like they're supposed to, right? That's part of keeping our thoughts balanced. Clarity through action is also an extremely valuable benefit when you're talking about maintaining your mental balance in your thoughts. Confusion, think about what confusion is. Isn't confusion a form of imbalance? If you think about someone that's confused, do they seem very balanced? So if we can maintain a state of mental clarity, then that aids in us being able to maintain that state of mental balance that I'm talking about. Because it's impossible for confusion and balance to coexist. Does that make sense? Now let's talk about balance in our emotions, being stable from within. Now this isn't about avoiding emotions, not feeling, not expressing emotions, but rather it's about not being controlled by those emotions, right? Being able to feel without being triggered or caused to react or behave any particular way because we felt something, good or bad inside, positive or negative. Now, emotional balance matters because, again, mental clarity is key in our lives. We have decisions to make. We're adults. Some of us have families, in addition to businesses and being self-employed, and maybe you have older parents that you assist in taking care of at this point. Whatever, we have responsibilities, right? Which means we have decisions to make on a day-to-day basis that have consequences for ourselves and others. Who needs the fog of confusion? Who needs any less mental clarity when you're a grown-ass man or woman and you have responsibilities to take care of in your day-to-day life? So by keeping those emotions balanced, by keeping them from overwhelming us, we see situations more accurately, which means we make better decisions. We're not reacting, we're responding, right? We're not reacting out of fear or urgency, we're responding based on forethought, based on having consciously weighed the pros, cons, goods, balances, goods, bads, and made a conscious decision to do something or not to do it, right? I don't know why this thing is always buffering when I'm doing this. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not showing a lot of video, but I think all my settings are right, man. But y'all know I'm still new to this live streaming thing, so as long as it comes out pretty good in the end and y'all get the sense of the information that I'm attempting to present. Now sounds like a good time, or feels like a good time, to take a small break and remind everybody of a couple things. First and foremost, if you are not subscribed to Legit Hustle, please, by all means, subscribe. This is Legit Motivation, the motivational series that I do here on Legit Hustle. I have a couple other programs that I do, the SMB podcast, which is more tailored specifically to businesses and business owners, regardless of what field you're in or what industry you come from or what your background may be. Also, I want to remind everybody that if you enjoy the presentations that you see, feel free to download a copy of these presentations for free, like the one I'm using today in this presentation on why we should get started before we're actually ready to. So I make these available for free on the website at legit.hustle.com. They're free for you to access anytime you want to, however many times you want to. That way you can go back over the information and from the presentation, if you like it, as deeply as you want to, and it's always going to be for free. Again, you can donate to the channel if you like from the website, but regardless, they're yours to download. Also, I have began having my workshops and seminars and classes again. Now, for you all who may not know, I am actually a web developer and business consultant. So I help small businesses by developing custom applications, automations, AI integrations, things like that. And I have started back having my free workshops, where these are not classes in that sense, and they're not sales pitches. These are actual group consultation sessions, like nothing you've ever experienced if you go into like a Zoom meeting or something like that. These are very different, and they're designed so that anyone that attends the event actually leaves with actionable things that they can do and use in their business, starting right then, that will actually make an impact in their business, right? So I've started back having those events, and if you like any information on how you can attend one of those events, all you have to do is click the link in the description to this video or on my on the YouTube channel. And that website is events.mayasolutions.net for more information on how you can attend one of those free workshops that I have. I have one more coming up this month in January on the 28th. So if you want some information about how to attend that, again, just go to events.mayasolutions.net and check it out. All right, so let's get back into this conversation. Now, emotional balance also generates inner peace. Having peace doesn't mean that we don't face challenges, right? Being at peace doesn't mean we don't have things that weigh heavily on our mind, on our hearts from time to time. It's the presence of stability despite the challenges, despite the heaviness on our hearts, on our minds. That's peace. Emotional balance allows us to stay centered, even when circumstances around us not only shift, but go haywire. They go, doesn't it seem like sometimes in life, some of the twists and turns that we have to deal with, sometimes things just seem like they came so far out of left field, yo. Especially when it comes to like a sudden loss of a loved one, or a sudden loss of our income, or our home. Sometimes things just feel like they come so far out of left field and they're so huge in magnitude, right? And they disrupt our lives so much. Having inner peace don't mean that we don't fold at times, that we don't doubt, question, or feel like we're going to crumble in the face of certain types of challenges. That's not what having inner peace is about. But if we are able to maintain some sense of inner peace, then that increases our ability to bounce back from those traumatic shifts in our circumstances, shifts in our reality, regardless of what they may come from or what they may stem from, right? Having emotional balance also builds up our energy reserves. Ain't it draining to be stressed out? Think about when you're stressed out. Think about when you're emotionally upset. Like maybe when you and your first love broke up, if it was anything like my experience, you know, not eating for days, not wanting to get out of bed and just feeling broken and crushed inside. If you've ever gone through that type of experience, ain't it draining when you're off balance emotionally? When you go through things that feel all consuming emotionally, ain't it draining? Ain't it literally draining to you physically and mentally? The better we get at maintaining our emotional balance, despite whatever challenges and obstacles we may face throughout our life, the better we get at maintaining that balance, the more energy we have to fight, to maintain in those situations, because it's not being depleted so quickly inside of us. Not that you're going to be invincible. You're not going to feel things and you may not stumble sometimes. But you'll always make sure that you have enough for yourself inside to at least give you a chance to overcome an obstacle. And that's by having energy, by having reserves, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, not being drained because we're going through things in life and our emotions are all over the place and out of whack and out of balance. Because that definitely doesn't help the situation, right? All right, let's keep moving. So by keeping our emotions balanced, like I said, we recover faster. But not only do we recover faster, but when we do recover, when we do bounce back from challenges, our presence becomes even stronger. It's even harder to overlook a person who just won't fall down. When people have seen you get knocked down so many times, and no matter what, every time they look up, you find a way to stand back up, to jump back up, to keep pushing, keep moving, keep going. It's very hard to not respect that person. It's very hard to not look at that person and be like, yo, I don't know what it is about them, but they just don't give up. They don't quit. They got that, what we say in sports, they got that dog in them. Same thing as a hustler. Same thing as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. It's lovely to see that dog in people when a person is so locked in, so locked on the goal that they set for themselves. Not that you do anything crooked or illegal to get there. I'm never going to advocate for that. But when a person is so locked in that nothing in life seems to be able to knock them down, to derail them on their path to that thing, to achieving whatever it is, that's admirable. That's something that is very hard to not respect, that when you see that in a person. Well, how do you become that type of person? Being able to keep your balance emotionally is how you become, one of the ways that you become that type of person that just seems impossible to knock down. Because again, remember, you always have that reserve energy because you're not being so depleted. Yeah, you're facing challenges. Yeah, you're facing hardships just like everybody else around you. But being able to exercise enough control inside of yourself to find a way to maintain that emotional balance. What do we, or not what, but when do you think it is that people pray the most? Do you think people pray the most when everything is going good? Or do you think humans tend to pray the most when things seem to be not going so good? Why do you think it is that it seems almost natural to pray the most when things are not going that well? Because what we're looking for is inner strength in those moments. What we need is inner strength. Keeping our balance emotionally, keeping our balance in our thoughts aids in your ability to, like I said, not just recover faster, but your presence now becomes impossible to ignore. The thing that you're doing, whatever it is you're working on, it becomes impossible to ignore because you're impossible to be defeated. Because no matter what gets thrown at you, somehow, some way, there's always enough in you. However you think you get it, from whatever source you think you get that energy from. I'm not here to discuss that. But whatever that thing is that allows us to overcome extreme obstacles in our life. By maintaining your balance emotionally, that's one of the ways that you always keep a little bit of that special thing that is in reserve for yourself. Can't let it all get depleted because you go through things in life. You got to find a way to keep that resolve as firm as steel, right? So finally, we're going to talk about balance in our actions and our habits, and why growth requires movement. Whenever we take action that lacks balance, this is a surefire way that we're probably going to either burn out, crash, have some form of chaos take place, or have to put forth some unsustainable effort just to get anything done because it's off balance, right? But balance without action is being on your 2 feet. Yeah, you're balanced. Yeah, you're stable. Nothing's at risk. But because you're not taking any action, then that's just stagnation. Be it from overthinking, the perfectionism trap. But either way, you end up just wasting whatever potential or whatever opportunity you actually had. What if you had that one thing that the world was waiting on? What if you had that one thing that you always said you wanted to come out with? That was that one thing that the world was waiting on. And you didn't even know it. And you never found out because you never came out with it. You don't think that's possible? How you gonna prove me wrong if you don't try? Now, if you tried it or nobody buy it, I'd be like, yeah, well, maybe it wasn't that thing. But at least you found out, you know what I mean? But if you don't even jump out there and try to see if maybe that passion, that thing that you really want to do, maybe it really is that thing though. But how you gonna know if you don't get out there and try? How you gonna know if you ain't willing to take the risk of falling? If you're so comfortable being steady and stable on just 2 feet, then you're never gonna be able to be balanced enough, to be off balanced enough to take a step, right? So the requirement is balance and action. You can't just take actions without balance, all willy-nilly, and, no forethought, poor execution. But we can't be so concerned without balance that it leads to inaction. The key is to be balanced in our action, be balanced in our habits, be balanced in the things that we're doing. The judging, not judging. I don't know why I thought this thing said judging. I was wondering why I put judging in there when I was talking about juggling. But anyway, so juggling, right? Most of us have seen someone juggle. And if you're like me, you've tried your whole life to imitate what you saw people doing juggling. It just never really worked out for you. You might have been like me and had some weird thing that you called juggling that it really wasn't juggling, but you called it juggling because it kind of looked like what you saw them doing when they was juggling. That's what it's like when we aren't able to maintain our balance. Even if it looks like we're functioning well, even if it looks like we're accomplishing things, even if it looks like we're progressing, it would be like a person trying to juggle, but it's off balance. They can't keep their balance. How do you keep the balls balanced in the air and in rotation if you can't keep yourself balanced? Whether it's juggling balls in the circus or juggling tasks on the job, juggling tasks, juggling roles, juggling objectives in your business, whatever it may be, we have to be able to maintain our balance, because anytime you have numerous objects that you have to maintain their momentum in order for it to function, which is what happens when we see someone juggling. Anytime you're in that situation, you cannot afford to let any one of those objects nor yourself lose your balance at any time, because that is what causes the crash. That is what causes it to fall. That is what causes you to drop the ball if you were juggling. Anytime the flight path of the object goes off balance, or your hand is off balance, aka in the wrong place, that you missed the ball or the bowling pin or whatever the person is juggling. I really don't. I wish I could show y'all that what I used to do when I was a kid that I called juggling. It's funny thinking back on it. But I can understand the principle of juggling enough, or what it takes to be juggling, to know that it would be probably impossible to actually juggle and juggle well off balance, right? That if you ever lose balance of yourself or the objects that you're juggling, that you're probably going to drop them or fall, right? And that's just a way to illustrate how important it is that in life, we have a lot of things to juggle in our life, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things that we are responsible for. It's very important that we be able to juggle multiple things and maintain our balance at the same time while doing so. When it comes to growth, when it comes to progress exists because of balance. Whether it's the largest trees you can think of, redwoods, sequoias, whether it's a mountain, whether it's a skyscraper or a huge building, none of those things can even exist without balance. Balance is literally key to growth. How many times have you seen, or have you ever seen, a tree that didn't come out and grow straight up, that grew out leaning over the ground? Yes, those trees can survive and live, and I guess probably live for a long time. But do you think they live and function as well as a tree that grew up strong and balanced and upright? Which tree do you think is more likely to fall in a storm? A tree that's leaning already, or a tree that's strong and upright and balanced? Same thing with buildings or a mountain, like I said. So in order for growth to exist, we have to be in a place of balance. The better we are at maintaining balance, the more balanced of a state we're able to maintain, the better we are at creating a condition and a circumstance around us where growth is possible. How well do crops do during tornadoes? Not that they can't grow. It's kind of hard to maintain growth when a tornado comes through a field and rips up the whole crop, right? So in order for us to grow, the better, more stable we can keep our environment through balancing and mastering our inner self, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions and our habits. The better we are at maintaining ideal conditions for us to actually be able to progress, to actually be able to grow, to actually be able to achieve things in our life. It's the balance, right? So why do you have to start before you're ready? Again, because you have to learn balance while you're doing it. You don't learn balance just standing in place, standing still. Motion, movement is what's required for you to learn to balance. So start at a slow pace. Again, you don't have to try to build Rome in a day. You don't have to try to conquer the world. You don't have to try to build the perfect company. You don't have to try to be the best parent in the world tomorrow. You don't have to try to be the best version of yourself tomorrow. But start at a pace that makes things not necessarily comfortable, but realistic. Remembering that balance involves understanding our limitations. So whatever our limitations may be, with those taken into account, move at a pace that allows you to maintain forward momentum without trying to overdo it, without trying to do too much, right? The earlier you start that process, the lower the stakes, the lower the risk. There's much less to lose when you're starting a business at the very beginning. Yo, what's going on, Smash? Salute, bro. There's very much to lose at the beginning when you first start your business, right? But if you've grown that business and it's 10 years in, and you've put 10 years into this, and now you've got people working for you and partners and contractors that depend on you, there's much more to lose if you're unable to maintain your forward momentum, if you're unable to maintain that growth. It doesn't just affect you now. But in the very beginning, there's very little at stake. There's very little for you to actually lose, right? Or less than there will be later on. So don't let the fear of possibly not accomplishing or not, hitting a home run stop you from even getting up to the plate, the bat to begin with. Mistakes are going to happen. But the sooner you get started on a goal, the sooner you get started progressing forward at something, the sooner you get to make sure that those mistakes not only happen less often, but cost you less if and when they do happen. You have to have time to adjust. You got to give yourself time to experiment. You have to give yourself time to develop a rhythm. Get good at something when you're doing it for the first time, when it's something new. So remember, take the pressure off of yourself of thinking everything is supposed to be just so. In the beginning, focus on taking the step and maintaining your balance while taking the step. That's how you learn how to walk. And regardless the size of the trip or the distance of the journey, you're still only going to accomplish it one step at a time, right? So starting off, move at a slower pace. Don't try to make such big steps. The objective is to maintain momentum. Also, make affordable mistakes. Early mistakes not only teach you lessons, but again, there's much less to lose. Some of the things in life, in business, that I have learned, would you say, is definitely due to understand mistakes are inevitable. That's right. It's the bounce back that's worth the ferry. That's right. I don't think I don't think I've got to it yet on this presentation smash, but I literally talk about that. That was part of the outline when I was developing this, is the bounce back. And the better a person is able to maintain their balance emotionally and mentally, when you go through things, that's part of what makes it possible for you to not only bounce back quicker, but bounce back and be stronger. And there's always something to like and admire and respect about a person when people have seen that person get knocked down, and no matter what, they never seem to get knocked down totally. They always find a way to get back up. They always find a way to be standing involved, doing something. They always got something going. It's something respectable about that. And the way a person develops that strength, that fortitude to be able to do that, is by maintaining your balance and your thoughts and your emotions. So that's what the topic is about. And getting started before you necessarily feel like you're ready to get started. So going back to the mistakes, when you're learning to do something new, you could go learn things by sitting down in a school and paying $100,000 for formal education. The mistakes, the lessons, and the education that you're going to get from actually doing those things versus going to learn about them, yes, it's going to cost you something. But that price is just the tuition that comes with the knowledge that you need, the ability that you're doing, whatever that you're seeking, whatever it is that you're undertaking, it's not going to be free, right? So the sooner you get started, the sooner you make those mistakes, the cheaper it comes to make those mistakes. Again, some things you want to experience very early in your business. You don't want it to happen when you've got 10, 15 people that work for you that depend on you now and got families and about homes and cars, and now you experience this thing. No, you want that to happen when it's just you working out your garage, when it's just you working out of your office at home or whatever the case may be. You don't want that to happen once you've got a lot of things at stake, right? So the sooner you get certain mistakes out the way and learn those lessons, the better, the stronger, the more fortified you're going to be for that future building, for that future growth, for that future progress. Also, you build confidence through your motion. Again, think about a child learning how to walk or ride a bicycle for the first time. If they just get up on that bicycle, training wheels and all, and just sit there, yeah, they feel safe, but they're not learning how to ride. They got to overcome the fear of that wobble. Yeah, it's going to wobble a little bit. Yeah, it's going to shake. Yeah, it's going to feel different than what you're used to when you're standing on your feet. But as long as they're sitting still on the bicycle, they're not developing any confidence on the bicycle. They're not developing any confidence at riding the bicycle. Same thing with walking, same thing with driving an automobile, flying an airplane, whatever it may be. We get confidence through the motion. We get confidence through the movement. Without the motion, without the movement, it's impossible to build the confidence that we need to keep going, to overcome challenges, to maintain the momentum that undoubtedly everybody seeks when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to accomplish something, right? When we wait, the cost increase. Again, the sooner we start undertaking something, especially something that's new, the sooner we get started, the less risk is involved. 3 times less than getting started late. The longer it takes us to make a decision, that cost doesn't sit still, it compounds. I'll give you the reverse of that. As a web developer, when it comes to like designing automations and stuff for workflows or processes, right? One of the things that I talk to clients about is the benefit that having access to data gives you, being able to make data-driven decisions. The sooner you can get some information, whatever it may be, especially if it's critical to making a decision, the sooner you are able to not only make a decision, but make a better, more informed decision, right? That's the opposite of what this is talking about. Speed to information matters. The longer it takes you to get started, the longer it's going to take you to come across the information, to have the experiences that you need, to actually be learning the things that you need in order to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do. Again, procrastinating, especially if you're stuck in that perfectionist trap, right? Trying to make sure everything is just so. Meanwhile, you're missing opportunities. Potential clients, potential customers, potential sales pass you by because you wasn't ready. You was too busy getting ready instead of being ready. What you say, Smash? You can survive, learn from, and use as a ladder to reach the next level without being wiped out. That's right. Or enslaved to a debt. That's basically what affordable mistakes are. Exactly. Right? And I mentioned this earlier in the presentation before you got here, Smash. You know, when we make mistakes when you're a child, there's not so much to lose as there is when you're a grown adult, right? So all of us are adults. We have responsibilities. That means that whenever you have to take a risk, you want to minimize it because the people that it can impact if things don't work out, if they go wrong, is better. It is bigger now, right? We don't want to unnecessarily risk our family's well-being or our loved ones' well-being. We don't want to make risky, unwise decisions, but we also don't want to be stagnant and stall and procrastinating. All of that is only possible through being balanced. We have to be balanced in our thoughts, balanced in our emotions, and balanced in our habits. Because at any point, at any phase, whether it's the start, the middle, or the celebration time of a goal or a business or whatever, you never want to put yourself in a position to miss out because you wasn't ready when the opportunity came. You were busy planning for, and the opportunity was standing right there at your door. But because you had your head down planning, you missed it. And that can happen. And depending on the phase of our life and the situation, those consequences get big sometimes. So there's much more at stake when you're in a position where other people are depending on you to make the best decision possible. So you want to always get started at undertakings, especially big undertakings in life. You want to get started sooner so that you can make those early mistakes and learn what you need to. The sooner the better. It's going to cost you much less. Remember, you're going to be learning through doing. Anytime you're accomplishing growth or you're seeking to advance or progress in something. So it's not important that you know it all in the beginning. It's not important that it's just so when you begin. What matters is that you're prepared to learn from doing. Remember, growth through iteration is what we do in software and web development. Expertise comes from direct experience, not theoretical preparation. I wrote my first business plan and actually submitted it to get funded through the SBA here in Georgia when I was 20 years old, right? Now, at 46, if I had to write a business plan, I don't think I would have to spend one day in the library. I don't think I would have to spend a fraction of the time. Why? Because now I have the experience that I did not have at 20. At 20, that writing a business plan was all about the books I got from the library and Books A Million and Barnes and Noble. And I'm following the steps in the book and trying to do it that way. That's theoretical knowledge. Yeah, I had all the knowledge of how to write that business plan right there in all these different books that I had access to. But what I did not have was the experience of actually running a business and working for myself. right? So when you commit to learning through doing, you understand that with that experience, you have to allow room for mistakes. And the more consistent you become at taking action, the action is what accelerates your understanding, your comprehension, your understanding of what it is that you're doing. It's technical knowledge, technical school, trade school versus a traditional 4-year college or university. Anytime you can mix experience with learning versus just taking in theoretical head academic knowledge, not only does the learning curve shoot up, but the person who learns through experience along with academic knowledge is going to be so much more capable at the end of that same time period than a person who only learned through academic knowledge, only learned from the book, right? So the sooner you get started at doing this new thing, the sooner you get started at starting that business, the sooner you increase the likelihood that you get to benefit from that advanced learning curve that takes place through necessity. It's actually, for you all who've never heard the story before, that's actually how I got into coding. I needed a website and I had a family and small children. I couldn't afford to pay nobody. But I needed one. So library and YouTube it was, and that's what actually got me into coding. So when we make it a priority and accept beforehand that we're going to learn while we're doing, it makes it almost impossible to not teach yourself how to do anything. And from that comes the confidence that you need to keep taking those steps that you need to keep moving forward. Because remember, this presentation is about progress, taking steps, moving forward in life, in our businesses. So we need to get started early, sooner than we think, before we're actually ready. And there's an advantage, right? Whenever you're the first to move at doing something, there's an automatic inherent advantage at being the first to it. If you've ever worked in sales, you know the value or the term speed to lead, right? Whoever can get to a lead first is usually the person that's going to sell that lead. So how quickly you can get from a person inquiring about something at a business to actually having a conversation with that person about that topic has a lot to do with your ability to actually sell that person something, to make a profit, to make a revenue, to make a sale, or whatever the case may be, get a new client, right? Make a conversion, whatever you're measuring that in. The speed to that lead actually matters. That doesn't stop in business. That doesn't mean you have to necessarily be the first to do something or the first in a market to do it. No. That means that you need to get started earlier doing something though, right? You don't have to necessarily be the first, but so what if you can't be the first? What, you gonna wait till next week to get started because you couldn't be the first? Well, what if you're the 10th now because you waited the next week? No, get started, get moving. Because the earlier you get moving, the more advantages you're going to give yourself. Does that make sense? Remember, avoid that perfectionist trap, thinking that circumstances and things have to be a particular way, that they're ever going to be just so, right? And that's how it has to be in order for us to do something, to take an action. So motion teaches us balance. Remember, you don't master balance by standing still. The baby does not learn to walk by simply standing still. The child does not learn how to ride the bicycle by simply sitting still on the bicycle. It's the motion, it's the movement, it's the pedaling, it's the taking of the little small baby steps that actually teaches that child motion. It doesn't change because we're adults. You don't learn rhythm by avoiding movement. You don't learn how to maintain your balance by avoiding it. You learn it by actually doing it, not in the planning, right? So don't be afraid of the motion. Remember, I started off the presentation, if you were here, talking about just like any other form of growth, progress, forward momentum is always uncomfortable. It's always going to be uncomfortable when it comes to taking a step forward because it requires you to be off balance. That's what makes a baby steps so unsure. Children master pretty quickly how to pull themselves up and stand up on 2 feet. That feels safe, that feels secure. But when you got to move that foot, you're going to naturally be off balance. But you have to be off balance in order to take a step. You have to be off balance to grow. You have to be off balance to progress. But as opposed to fearing those moments of imbalance, we have to look at them in their proper perspective, which is these are our teachers. This is how I'm going to learn how to keep my balance while I take that step, because I'm going to master that moment of imbalance. And that's what a child does. And that's what we have to do. Again, this applies to whether the task is a personal thing, a relationship based situation, business, whether you work for yourself or work for someone else. Whenever we have a task at stake, an objective, something that has to be moved upon, then we have to be prepared to not only take steps, take a motion, but maintain that motion. And balance is the key to maintaining forward motion, right? Again, while you're moving, each step is what teaches you about pace, direction, adjustment. Every time that baby takes that step, their foot gets a little bit better at feeling where they could possibly lose their balance set before they actually do, right? And those steps get a little bit stronger and a little bit surer. Again, perfect analogy for us, even though we're adults. When you have something that you're progressing toward, that's exactly what it has to be like. Every step is going to teach you how to maintain your balance in that position a little bit better, how to adjust, sometimes on the fly, a little bit better. That motion provides you the feedback that standing still could never provide you. That's why standing still could never teach you how to progress. Standing still can never teach you how to walk. Planning can never teach you how to execute. You're only going to learn those things by actually doing, right? And that progress is what's going to create your confidence. First time that baby takes that foot and sticks it out there and it wobbles, that ain't when they take off walking. They're going to fall a couple times. They're going to have to rebuild their confidence up to even try a couple more times. But before long, they're confident enough in their ability to take one step that they take two. And then once they get confident in those 2 steps, they off, they gone, right? So it's usually just the initial steps that are typically the hardest, because once you get going, as long as you can maintain your balance, you can maintain your momentum, you can keep moving forward, you can keep making steps forward, right? And I just skipped over while adjusting, but that's all good, because for you all who do not know, I make all of my presentations available for you to download for free on my site at 𝐬𝐿GH&x. So if you like this presentation, if I end up skipping over something or misread something and you want a free copy of it, go to 𝐬𝐿GH&x. That's legit-hustle.com. And you can get access to pretty much all of my presentations that I do on my channel for free on my website. Yeah, I skipped number 2. That's probably because I'm hungry. So I'm going to pretend like I didn't skip number 2, and we just going to keep moving like none of that ever happened, all right? Hopefully that's a reason that you all will go download this or go look at some other presentations on the site. But I ain't about to go back over it. I'd be lying if I said I was. But I appreciate everybody being in the house. Smash said you cooking, bro. Oh, I appreciate it, my guy. Hey, Smash, man, listen. I be looking for you, man. You one of the few people that have consistently been on my lives enough that normally when I go live, I be looking for you. There's a couple of people that I'd be like, man, I be wanting to see this person because you and a couple other people are here the most consistent, right? So I'm glad you're in the building, man. I have been looking for you the last couple of lives, man. But I know how it go, man. And for me, you know, I be honest with you, man, I be having so much going on off of YouTube that I'm just now kind of getting back in the rhythm of doing content with any consistency. I didn't do my first live stream until like August of last year, you know, because I wasn't really taking YouTube really that serious. But circumstances forced me to have to look at it as a real avenue for my business just because of some personal circumstances. So last summer I was like, I got to find a way to start reaching potential clients. So I decided I was going to get serious about live streaming. In the meantime, in between time, it's just always so much going on that I haven't really been able to consistently go live. So I know part of that, me and you missing each other, is on me because I don't necessarily do this on certain days. I'm trying to get there. Hopefully, you know, Saturdays, I like Saturdays, just Shabbat. It's a nice peaceful day. I usually ain't doing too much on Saturday. So I want to perhaps make sure I do the legit motivation live streams, if no other day, at least on Saturday, because I just feel like this is a good day, you know, for like this type of discussion or whatever, man. But yeah, bro, I appreciate you being in the building, man. I appreciate everybody that's here, that's watching, no matter how long you've been here. If it's your first time, I appreciate you pulling up. If you've been here before, then you know, man, this is what I do, man. I like having conversations with the people, and this is legit motivation. This is my way of hopefully contributing to you having a positive start to your week next week. Right? So how do we begin? Well, identify one action that you've been delaying. What decision, what project, what thing, what conversation have you been delaying doing? It's been on your heart. It's been on your mind. You keep telling yourself you ain't ready. You done made every excuse in the world not to walk over there and say something to that beautiful young woman because you keep telling yourself you ain't ready. What is that thing for you or for me? What decision? Is it a project? Is it a goal? Is it a conversation? Man, what's the smallest version of this? Remember, you don't have to build the full thing in one day. You don't have to totally solve the problem. You don't have to fix everything the first time. Remember, if you were here, I mentioned in web development, when you're building an app or a platform, there's something called a MVP, a minimal viable product. And the minimal viable product is the most basic version of something that you can have that functions and that's valuable enough for you to put out on the market, whether it's going to be for free or you're going to have a subscription or whatever the business model may be. You start off with the minimal viable product, right? Facebook didn't start off being what it is today. YouTube didn't start off what it is today. They grew through learning. That's growth through iteration, right? So you do the same thing when it comes to taking on these challenges in your life. You don't have to necessarily have the whole answer. You don't have to have the best answer. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need a working version of it. And what's the smallest, simplest working version of a solution that you can find at a time? It doesn't have to be the full version. It doesn't have to fix everything. But is it enough of a step that it moves you forward? Is it enough of a step that it maintains the momentum that you started by getting started, right? And so this is what I mean when I say start before you're ready. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't sit back and wait until everything is just right to start that business. Don't sit back and wait till everything is just right to holler at that woman that you've been staring at since you first started working in that building. Start before you feel ready, so that whatever mistakes are necessary for you to make, you can go and get them out the way, right? There's much less to lose early on than there is after you start building some success, after you have staff, after you have a family, you got people depending on you. Are you going to make mistakes? Yes. Are you going to stumble and fall sometimes? Of course you are. But the sooner you get that process underway, the much less those stumbles and those falls cost you. This means it's easier to bounce back. It's easier to recover from a small mistake than it is a big mistake, naturally, right? So start before you're ready so that you can grow while the pace is forgiving, while you got some leeway to make those mistakes, right? Sooner you start, the sooner you can get to learning the things that you need to learn in order to become the person that you're trying to become or achieve that thing that you're striving to achieve. So again, man, I appreciate everybody for pulling up, hanging out with me. If, again, you would like a copy of any of my presentations from my Legit Motivation podcast or the SMB podcast, they are available for free at 𝐬𝐿GH&x. I don't charge anything for them. They're there for you. Most of the time, if I have any references attached to the information I present, they're usually also attached to the presentation down at the bottom so that you can actually do deeper research on topics that I present, in addition to whatever you may hear me say, and add my little spiel on top of it, you know. But I appreciate everybody pulling up and hanging out with me today, man. This is cool. Also, I have restarted having my workshops. Now, my workshops are not traditional presentations and they're not sales pitches, but they're actually interactive group sessions where you actually get a chance to work through some of your business problems live with me in a group consultation setting. And I have another one coming up on the 28th of this month. So if you're interested in finding out more about those events, you can click the link in this description or on my YouTube page, which is events.mayasolutions.net. It's the site to find out more information about my online events. And yeah, man, I appreciate y'all being here. Smash. Oh, you said you playing with the notifications. Hey, man, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist about why that may be, but I look at it like, man, the growth going to come when it come. It'll catch on when it catch on, you know. And one thing about my content, bro, like I already know that my content isn't for the masses. I knew that, coming into this. So I stick with making content that's relevant to the people that I'm trying to talk to. And people like hustlers. That's what the whole channel is about. If you're trying to get it on your own, if you're out here doing something, this is the type of content that I feel like I can contribute to those people that need the motivation. The people that's actually trying to do things in life. So as long as I'm being consistent and being true to those principles and things, man, I can wait on the growth, bro. It'll come when it get here, man. But so I ain't gonna say YouTube shadow banning me or nothing like that. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it'll get there when it get there, man. But I appreciate everybody being in the building, though, most definitely. And if you don't know, it is me. He is I. I'm your homie, Mr. Legit Hustle, aka Mike Sanders, man. This has been another episode of Legit Motivation. And with that being said, we're gonna ride out to some of my music. For you all that don't know, I am not a rapper, but I'm an amateur-ass rapper. So sometimes I be making music and sometimes I play it on my show. And that's just how it go. And we're going to close it out with one of mine. This is my song, On Your Own, man. This is a salute to everybody who is out here getting it on their own, man. Salute to you, man. Peace out. Enjoy your Saturday. Shabbat shalom to everybody, man. Peace and love. I'm out. I've worked too hard to stop now. But it seems like every time I turn around, it's somebody hating. I need to ride. Yo, yeah.
Rest in peace,
Yo, man, this one goes out to everybody out there getting it on their,
every other soul.
However you getting paid, however you paying your bills, hopefully
it's legit. You know what I'm saying? But even if it ain't, do the best you can, you know what I'm saying? And get it on your own. Yeah, West Coast, slow motion. Waking up the morning views of the ocean, freshen up your swag, roll up your neck back, 40 on your hip, dip to the west side. Between the trees and the breeze is where you reside. You let the 6-4 dip slow side to side. The good life, no longer stressing on that hood stripe. Your kids best, you can't flex, they doing all right. On top of that, today you rhyme with your lady. Yep, that's your baby. Play with her, they must be crazy. Had the hood going crazy when them shop doors open. Fine cuts in the city, that's what you been promoting. Plus it's clear to see that every real G is positive to the community. Productivity, that's the slogan. Pushing back on the force is trying to stop what's wrong. They can't hold you back. When the door of opportunity opens up for you like a Cadillac, you ain't having that. You came too far to try and travel back. And plus that's way too whack. So when the plans stay rolling and the dope keep folding while your life unfolding, then you keep going. Never mind the haters, can't make or break you. Where will hustle take you when your faith don't forsake you? Yeah, it feels good when you getting it on your own. Pushing fly wheels, putting families in, fly home. But you gotta stay strong when you're walking on your own and turn BS a rare when life ends. You stones. It feels good when you getting it on your own. Pushing fly wheels, putting families in, fly home. But you gotta stay strong when you walking on your own and turn BS a rare when life ends. You stones. But don't expect it to be easy breezy. Besides being cheesy, it's slightly greasy like an Eskimo. Trying to sell your bro that don't love the pole. His ass still ain't free. The truth is you take the good with the bad. If it's worth it, then on purpose, it ain't easy to be had. But don't let it stop you, cause unless they pop you, then you gotta know the wind's already in the back. It takes thick skin to walk amongst men that don't comprehend the grind that you're living in. Unfortunately, it usually proves to be negativity from friends and your family. But when you focus, you can't get caught slipping. You cool ranch while you living. Fly with eagle, not chickens, and you bound to see between you and me that there's no enemies. And yes, success is the proof. Me, I'm still noodle flowing in the booth. If you need more proof, go and check me mirror. Cause it couldn't be clearer that you're bound for the top. So stay on your grind and don't you dare ever stop it. With roadblocks, acting mad cops. That only means you're just a mirror, homie. Just watch. Ain't no need to be silent when you're made of iron. And for winners like you, there's no such thing as trying. It feels good when you're getting it on your own. Pushing fly wheels, putting families in, fly home. But you gotta stay strong when you're walking on your own and turn BS a bread when life gives you stones. It feels good when you're getting it on your own. Pushing fly wheels, putting families in, fly home. But you gotta stay strong when you're walking on your own and turn BS a bread when life gives you stones. And there you have it. You know what I'm saying? This goes out to everybody out there getting it on their own. Like I said, you over there, feel me? With the fade, all the barbershops, hair salons, nail salons, massage parlors, dentist office, you feel me? Soul food restaurants, whatever you do, man. You work for yourself, it's your anthem right here, man. It's my salute to you. I see you get it on your own. And if you employ other people, you're a real life hero. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Yeah. Keep getting it on your own.
Omni Beats.
Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
In a world full of hunger, growing up on stomach pains, trying to make it over puddles and avoid the dirty stains of the streets where the rain brings more than just your pain, and everything you have to lose is everything you have to gain. It's a battle for your mind, for your soul, for your time. Either stay down in the mud or jump back up, get on the grind, trying to catch up in a race when you started from behind. So removed from the lead that you can't even see the line. And the ones who say they love you, the same ones who hold their hand from extending you the kindness that you needed to withstand. The same ones walking blindly with contempt for fellow man. They don't lose a wink of sleep, even when they leave you stranded. Fuck them all, just in tall, never mind if you fall. Every hustler takes a L. Without those, you can't ball. It's a dirty, dirty dance. Roll the dice, take that chance. Gotta tighten up your pants to stay a victim of circumstance. Opportunity comes at a glance. Get to stepping like a band. If it's school, rap and dance, it don't matter, get your band. To the sky up if it takes that to help you feel fly. Who am I to tell you not to when I'd rather see you try? It's a blackout to America, so I'm forced to make these choices. Ramen noodles or the bills while others riding noodles Royce. And then claim to be their leaders. Whole time ignore their voices. Time to pay us what you owe us. These are just your first invoice. I suggest you pay up quickly. We are not that good at waiting. We have been too fucking patient. U.S. government is Satan, and the victory was ours. You can quit the time wasting and the stalling, cause it's time Babylon should get to falling. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think by now we all know who the enemy is, right? And we all see who the enemy is, right? You know what I'm saying? Alright, so it's not a person working next to your job. Probably ain't the person that lives down the street from you. Not to say it ain't some weirdos in all these places that need to get addressed, need to get dealt with. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, man. We got a unique situation with my kid, when your kid, when they look back at our generation, what they gonna see? What they gonna see? A whole bunch of coulda, woulda, shoulda ass motherfuckers? Or they gonna look back and say, hey, I'm on my daddy's part of that generation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I come from that. One more thing I've got to mention. If you listen, I hope you listening. We cannot ignore our kitchen, cause it's full of dirty dishes. We need mothers to be mothers, so our children can be children. We need fathers to be fathers, lead them right and give them wisdom, so our dreams can be reality, not just a bunch of wishes. Whether Muslim, Jew, or Christian, don't just talk it, you should live it. So I'm asking you, what would you do if on you this depended? For our dreams to be reality, not just a bunch of wishes. Victory is all.